Amen. Please be seated. Over the years, I've sometimes wondered whether there's a future in church business. Here in New England, we are slowly, sadly, so many churches are closing, becoming restaurants and homes and antique shops. And I've observed that here in New England for years and years. But I always believe, and still believe to this day, that human beings need community, a community centered in love. And last night was a wonderful example of that. Our little harvest dinner was just wonderful in that way. So I do feel that clergy do have a future. I'd say that with guarded optimism, but I think clergy, if they can create a community of love, it's a good job choice. It's a good vocation path to take. Like, this is a little tongue-in-cheek, barbers. There's always going to be hair to cut. So not a bad profession if you're considering. Lawyers, this is a little cynical, and sorry for the, I don't want to be one of those people that, always beat up on the lawyers, but people want to sue one another, and they'll always be that. So if you want to be a lawyer, you're probably going to be okay with that job. You could become an accountant because humans like to count their money, and they'll always be that, and they have to pay their taxes, so you got that. Here's the one that is relevant to today. You could be a script writer, a screenplay writer, because we'll always want drama. And boy, do we love drama. We have sort of have a love-hate relationship with drama. Drama is exhausting, it's exciting, it's unexpected, it's everything you would want in a good story, in a good TV series, in a good movie. The dynamics at work, by the way, and I'm going to return to this, are escape from captivity. If we're rooting for the person who's jailed and unjustly accused, and boy, we hope they'll break out and escape from captivity, returning home from exile. Someone gets tossed somewhere off, and will they make it home? And all the challenges that face them, and drama, and oh my gosh, it's going to be. And I just watched a whole series with this mom and a son, and they were out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm not going to say more about that, but so drama, the other one, right? So there's escape from captivity, returning home from exile, and mending a broken relationship. That we see it happen, those two that seem to be flirting around with one another, are they ever going to, get together? Or they were together for years and they had a misunderstanding. We saw the misunderstanding. They don't. Will they see it one day and get back together and will teary and drama. We love drama. And those three themes are among the most, you'll see them. Now that you know them, you'll see them you'll sense them. So drama. We love drama. But we get exhausted by it, and quite unwittingly, unknowingly, we're held captive by it. And there's a point that we want to acknowledge at some level, not to always be reacting to drama. Drama is all around us, but wouldn't it be nice to just pause a moment in the middle of our day and step back? And instead of just reacting to everything that's going on, have a moment of freedom of choice to decide, how am I going to respond to this? And in that place, you have the opportunity to at least consider seeing through the drama. That there is something that lies beyond the drama. And if you look at the world and not notice that everything you see is as kind of objectively real as this is, we all have history, and we bring that to every moment of our life. And so, in a way, drama is all we ever see, but is it possible to see through it? And if you can see through it, what would you see? So Jesus, in this moment, the Beatitudes, we call them that for blessing, blessing, blessing. This one, Luke has blessing, 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 whoa, whoa, whoa. And Keith Anderson, thank you, Keith. We have our weekly Bible study, and I always want to name it something else because it sounds so boring, because it's not. And we reflect on this gospel this past week, and Keith pondered for a while. He wasn't saying anything, and finally he said, well, isn't it just that blessed, 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 whoa, 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 is life changes. If you're on top of the pack, at some point you're thinking pretty cocky that you're going to be at the bottom. Just give it enough time. And if you're at the bottom and you've given up all hope and despair, and things will change. Don't give up, but know that drama is life. Drama, 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 drama. So I like this. So Jesus lays out, drama is unavoidable. But, he puts the big but love your enemies. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. Like, what? Why in the midst of all the drama is he asking us to do this? And love, because there's a possibility that with all this drama going on, if you do these things, you'll actually develop the capacity to see through the drama to what lies beyond the drama. This lovely reading, thank you, Bonnie, for reading it twice. I insisted on it. It's a little complicated. Our Bible study, we looked at this and and I'm thinking, you don't see this? Doesn't this make perfectly good sense? So I wanted to read it twice because it's a figurative, artistic, explanation of soul. And soul is something to be talking about today on All Saints Sunday. What is the difference between a soul and a saint? A soul, and I think this sums it up beautifully, if you just go with it, is a piece of every one of us. Call it both a tool, like a portal, as well as a desire to see through that portal. And I love how it opens, and if you don't take anything away but that opening line, that the soul is a objectively existing opening, right? So portal, right? So each one of us, in the midst of this subjective life, this drama, like all I see is drama. I don't see anything beyond drama. And without drama, oh my gosh, wouldn't life be over? Turn off the TV. Put down the phone. We get fed by drama, but that's all we see. And so this soul, imagine within each of us a capacity, this little thing that is this objectively existing opening that you could see through the subjective life. You could see through the drama. And what do you see, says this lovely, lovely, truthful saying, you get a sense. There's a presence there. And he calls it presence, source, other, God. You call it what you want, but we have a capacity to just step back and look through the drama, and lo and behold, there's a presence there. And that's what your soul is stirring to know better. Who are you? What can I do for you? Those are the things you say when you're meeting someone maybe early on in the relationship. They're an acquaintance. How are you? But you go back to that person. You go back, and eventually, over time, that acquaintance, the relationship has gotten more intimate, may I say, more developed, more nuanced. You've been more honest, and now it's a friend, not an acquaintance, and you can't turn your back on a friend. And that friendship brings forth some humanity. It's your best self. Drama never brings out our best, ever. But if you allow this opening to bring you in touch with what lies beyond this drama and keep at it, then the soul becomes a saint. That's my definition. I think a saint, we're all that, because a saint gets to know the one who knows us so thoroughly already, but it's a reacquaintance. And once that relationship has been reestablished and you're sort of home in that wonderful exchange, and you can't turn on that, your whole life is informed by that now. Darn. I can't walk away from this. I now know my soul has been flirting with this presence for so long that I'm caught. And everything that I do now, I do for the sake of this relationship. So now bring that to blessed, 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 whoa, 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 and get to that point that says, but, here's the drama. Feeling pretty good about yourself right now? Wait. Feeling low, 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 and neglected and spit on and reviled and excluded? That's going to change. But, in the meantime, love your enemies. Pray for those who abuse you. Bless those who curse you. Why? Because if you stand your ground and look straight through the drama, no matter how much crap, may I say, this person's maybe throwing on you, Don't react. Step back and notice that this human being brings to you the same presence that you recognize in that big global God, source, other way. Every one of us has this character and dimension of infinity. Don't think for a moment that even if you've known someone for 50 years, 100 years, you know everything about them. Because at the core of every one of these finite bodies is something infinite. And that's the peace that lies beyond the drama. And if you're not in touch with that, you're not in touch with yourself. So looking through the drama is grounding yourself and arriving, okay, now we're back to the three themes: escape from captivity. You've escaped from the matrix. You've escaped from this compelling, powerful, may I say, powerful suction into the drama. So much so that if you worry, right? Shut off the TV. No, shut off the TV and look through and see that there is this presence. And when that happens, all right, so first, release from captivity, return home, and relationship renewed. The love is flowing. I am at home. I am at peace. And I no longer contribute to the drama. And doesn't the world need a lot less drama?